This video you're about to see is the last in the series for the Dixie fire. Plus I'm going to add my spin on things at the end. The fire today, it's September 19th. Fire today is 963,301 acres, 88% contained. The fire started on the 13th of July. So it's been going a while. So at any rate, you're going to see some video I took going through Greenville, and a little bit of what the forest looks like in the area around here. Pretty ugly, but this is the last of the ones I'm going to make on this fire. Yeah, let's go down to Main Street and turn right.
I'm trying to, this is like, oh, Billy Graham?
Rapid response team.
Oh.
Gas station. EPA. Sheriff's Department over there. Okay, turn right here.
Wow.
Well, you can't even recognize it. Here's the post office.
There's the American Legion building.
Yeah, American Legion Quonset hut over here. This used to have some really beautiful houses right down this main street here.
My house.
Yep, the one that you liked.
Look at that. What was that?
I don't know. One of those old houses. Never could see the high school over there before because all the houses and trees. Boy, there's the high school now. Oh man. Every house is gone. Every single one.
If you want me to pull over, just let me know.
Nope, I don't. I just want you to keep on cruising on through. Boy, it was good that Leon and Anna got out of here when they sold their house when they did.
Yep.
'Cause it's gone.
I wonder if that makes them sad at all.
I don't know.
I can't even tell which one was my favorite. I gotta go back and talk to that too, but I can do that on my own if you don't want to.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Time doing that.
This is the hardware store right here. Hunters.
You can't even tell where you're at. It's like being in a.
Get here.
There's Aliens right
Get
there,
on this
right?
side. Yeah. This used to be the bar.
stores right there.
This
This is the
antique store.
there was the old BPOE or something.
There's the
Museum.
museum.
It's a museum there.
What is this?
Another house. There's another house down here. There's more houses back there. Yeah.
Oh, the jerky factory got it.
Everything down here burned. That's Riley's jerky right there.
Yep. There's not, these houses here weren't like
That's where that nursery was.
historical housing and stuff
No.
like that. So.
Here's the house we put in an offer on right here. This is where the house was that we put in an offer on.
Oh, one building's left.
Yeah. That was the house right there. Good thing we didn't get it.
3 acres or something. And it's like, never.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. Now see, I need to come through. I want to come through and I want to take pictures like that. With a camera. So,
Boy, Okie Flats is never going to be the same.
I'm coming in here and I'm taking pictures. Oh, Hudson. Here's Hudson. I'm turning here, right?
Yeah.
Because that's...
And then the church down here, that made it.
The fifth one made it. And their house
This whole
made it.
street made it. There's Josh's place that he bought right there.
The bus is not there.
Yeah, it is. It's right there.
It wasn't under a...
Yeah, it was. It was under a thing.
Oh, so that's our church.
Right here's the church. That's the church right there, and the chairs. And that's our church right there. There's all the chairs. And that's Josh's house that he bought right over there under, with the bus underneath the awning. This is our church. What's left of it. Pretty sad. There's a wheelchair. This was the entrance to the church right here. This is the parsonage.
Was this our indoor? It's not a public thoroughfare, so we're not going to have to do anything with these trees. He's probably going to move into that shed. And then we will clean it up. If you see him, you need to give him a condolences or whatever.
3A, huh? Yeah, 3A insurance. in the bird. And we're up on Karen's property, and this is what's left. Fire crowned right through here. Took out everything. This is what's left of her cabin. There's a wood stove right there that we're going to see if we can try to see if it's any good. I don't know when we dig it out of there, we'll find out. And then the shed over here. This is where we had all the stuff stored in here in the shed. That's where the outhouse was. We had a lot of stuff in here: radio arm saw, an old stove that was converted over to gas. She had a blower, a vacuum system for the wood shop that they had in Idaho Falls, and that's it right there. That was a high dollar item. So there's all kinds of stuff here. Some of this stuff is salvageable. For the most part, it isn't. That propane tank's done. That jerry can obviously is done. That's a hand cart. We might be able to get that one back. I don't know. So yeah, this property down below was solid forest, and that's where, I'm sure that's where the fire crowned and got through there, and went, and then when it did that, it just came through the crowns of the trees, went all the way up the hill through all the crowns. And she had all this cleared off pretty good, except for down in here. This one wasn't cleared off too good back in here. I was working on that, had piles down there. But she had garden beds here, and then a little orchard. All the orchard trees got burned. I don't know if any of them are going to come back or not. This one right here is a fruit tree, another fruit tree. There's one down there that had fruit all over it this year. Finally, it was the first time we saw any fruit on it. Of course, there's no fruit on it now. And I'm not really sure what that is. That over there is an oak. This here, I don't know, some sort of brush. But this whole area down below us was solid forest. I mean, just heavy. I knew that if there was going to be a fire in here, that was where the problem was going to come from. And sure enough, I'm sure that's where it came out.
This is the last of the videos that I'm going to do on this Dixie fire. There's a few things I need to get off my chest about this whole thing, and it's also, if you've watched all of my episodes, I think 1 through 6, this will be the 7th and last one. Congratulations. If you didn't, and you want to see how this thing unfolded throughout the beginning, I started back in July. I started recording daily, almost daily, what was going on, and I missed a few days here and there, but when there was nothing going on. But for the most part, pretty much tried to stay on top of what was happening. Anyway, if you want to see how it all unfolded, then go and check those out. And if you did see them, congratulations from getting through it. The whole business of firefighting nowadays seems to have changed quite a bit from when I was a firefighter. Now, I've got 30 years of fire experience, retired Forest Service. Admittedly, I want a disclaimer right here that I never made it very high in the organization, and it was my own fault. From the way I handled my career was detrimental to getting ahead. But at any rate, as a result of the fact that I never got very high in the organization, I never had a lot of experience in a managerial, other than an engine captain, positions, as far as, on fire teams or anything like that. however, that actually gives me another edge, because pretty much all of my 30 years was in direct suppression. And so I have a lot of experience in direct suppression. And what I saw happening on this fire, and earlier this year, the sugar fire, and last year, the fires over in Quincy, the Bear and the Claremont fires, I don't like what I was seeing. I mean, they weren't being managed for the benefit of the resource. And there was a lot of things that I call, and it's not my choice of words, it was a guy named Greg Overacker, who was a superintendent of the Stanislaw Hotshots, coined this phrase, and it was overplaying the safety card. And that's what I see happening today. I mean, it's you know, one of the fire orders that we always lived by was fight fire aggressively, but provide for safety first. I got no problem with providing for safety. There's no doubt in my mind that you don't want to get anybody hurt or killed on a fire, especially a wildland fire. It's not worth somebody's life being lost. But my opinion and my observation is that the resources being allowed to be destroyed as a result of what I call overplaying the safety card. I mean, okay, so example, we can't go on steep ground because somebody might get hurt. Okay, well, that's fine, but you know, that's where fires burn. If you don't go on steep ground and pick them up, then they're going to get bigger and bigger, and that's exactly what's been going on. That's just one of the examples. Another thing is the indirect attack approach. Everything that I've seen on these big fires, and the Plumas is a great example, because we've had so many big fires on this forest in the last 2 years that this fire, the Dixie fire, burned almost 1 million acres. And this is completely, and the Plumas has been decimated by wildland fire. The indirect attack approach has been used over and over, and fails mostly, and almost always results in larger acreages being burned. You know, our governor made the statement that these big fires are a result of climate change. Can't disagree that there is climate change occurring. I'm not going to disagree with that. But to say that the climate change is responsible for these fires being so large is oversimplification. It's not necessarily true. I mean, there is certainly the climate has a lot to do with the way these fires burn. There's no doubt about it. But the tactical decisions and the strategic decisions that are being made on these fires have a huge impact on how big these fires are getting. This fire has been, as far as I'm concerned, has been undermanaged throughout from the very beginning. Day after day after day, and believe me, this has been going on for almost 2 months now. It's the 19th of September right now. The fire started on the 13th of July, so over 2 months. Again and again, they've gone and they've put all of these resources on doing contingency line here, contingency line there. Everything's contingency lines, and which is not a bad tactic in some cases, but when you don't have enough resources to deal with the fire itself, and you're putting all these resources to do contingency lines that haven't held, And you can look at the map and you can see dozer line after dozer line after dozer line that the fire just walked right over, because those contingency lines were put well in advance of a fire. They had no chance of holding a fire, and yet they put all these resources on making contingency lines and instead of doing direct suppression. Honestly, the direct suppression is the only way that you're going to suppress a fire. You have to put your fire line right on the edge of the fire, and if it's too hot to do that, then there's other ways of getting it done. So you wait for the weather to change, you wait for a break in the intensity. There's other ways of making it happen. And they failed to take advantage of every time there was a lack of fire behavior, fire growth. They failed to take advantage of it on the Dixie fire. The fires last year, the Bear Fire in the Claremont, they had 2 fires over there. They were understaffed from the beginning because there was too many fires, not enough folks to go around. Totally get it. Totally understand that. Eventually, when the sheep fire over by Susanville got staffed adequately, and they had time to, and then they had more resources to put on the Bear and the Claremont, the decision was made to allow those 2 fires to burn together in the middle fork of the Feather River, because it was too steep and inaccessible. Okay, inaccessibility is, to me, a cliff. That's inaccessible. Okay, but steep ground is not necessarily inaccessible. If you can't get an engine there, I don't call that inaccessible. You can still put hand crews in there. You can walk in there. You can do something to it that will keep it from moving around. There was times that the Bear Fire and the Claremont Fire had quite a few days that, as they allowed them to burn together, that there was very little intensity. They could have dealt with those differently than they did. And as a result, and I don't know, hindsight's 20/20. I don't know if this would have happened for sure one way or the other, but the fire, when it blew out of there, was a northeast wind event, and it burned all the way to Lake Orville and burned up Brush Creek, Feather Falls, and Berry Creek, all burned up. People died down there because those fires were allowed to burn together, or were going to be allowed to burn together, instead of doing direct suppression. The Bear Fire actually had, there was at one point when the Bear Fire was progressing across the canyon, it actually had a trail going down in there. So obviously it wasn't inaccessible. There's a trail system going in there. I don't know why they couldn't have utilized that to put some line in there or hold it on the line. But at any rate, that's not my point, is to talk about those 2 fires. But it's just an indicator of the way that they fight fire now. It's unsafe to do most of what you do on a fire. I mean, firefighting is unsafe. I mean, that's just the way it is. And if you don't, if you're not aggressive enough, then these fires just get bigger and bigger, because you can't completely say that it's inaccessible, or that it's too steep, or we can't put people in there because it's unsafe. If you're going to continue to do that, you're going to have 1 million acres burned up, like this year. So anyway, I don't like the way they do business nowadays. I'm very opinionated, and I'm probably not real popular with a couple of my friends with still working for the Forest Service, and I'm sorry about that. But I see again and again, failure to do basic things that we used to do on fires. Anchor and flank, go direct. I don't see that happening enough on fires, and as a result, these fires are getting larger and larger. Putting an indirect line in, expecting it to hold day after day after day, for 2 months is, to me, you know, come on, definition of insanity kind of comes to mind. Anyway, so, you know, there was one of the fire situations that shouted, watch out for firefighters, was unburned fuel between you and the fire. So you go out in front of a fire, you put in your dozer line, what do you have? Unburned fuel between you and the fire. So granted, that's a watch out situation that was supposed to be a safety issue for firefighters. But it's also true for the suppression side of it. I mean, if you have unburned fuel between you and the fire, that fire's got a chance to get rolling and just roll right over your dozer line, which is exactly what happened. The maps, the fire maps, I'll probably put one up here somewhere, that I downloaded off the internet when I had internet, showed dozer line after dozer line that they were putting in, that they lost. And because they were indirect lines, they had no real chance of holding any of them. And the other big issue that I have a real problem with on these fires is that they failed to take advantage of the situations that they had. They had periods of time where the fire was not doing anything, not doing much. They need to be more aggressive during those times and take advantage of those periods of time when the fire is not burning real hot. So at any rate, this fire should have never been as big as it was, and it's a shame that it did. The town of Greenville was pretty much, I would say, 80%, maybe 85, or maybe higher than that percentage destroyed. I mean, not just damaged, we're talking about destroyed, burned to the ground. Shouldn't have happened. The more aggressive firefighting, more sticking to the basics, anchor and flank, go direct, would have been so much, could have made such a difference. I mean, fires never used to be this big. And granted, we have a very dry year going on. There's a rain last night, but it's been a very dry year. Fires are going to burn unusually intense on a year like this, no doubt about it. But to say that we have that climate change is a reason for this, no, I don't think so. I saw in the news one day one guy on the news, an anchor man for one of the major news agencies, made the statement that we have in California, we have year-round megafires. No, we do not have year-round megafires. And when you put that kind of crap out there on the internet or out in the media, if you put that kind of crap out there, people that don't know any better are going to start believing it. And that's not true. We do not have year-round megafires in California. There's always been year-round fire season in California in some place of California. Southern California, you can have fires year-round. Up here in Northern California, hardly ever. There are dry years. Sometimes you do get a dry year where, you know, you'll have some sort of, you know, fire season during the winter, you know, where you'll have fires. Even over in Janesville area, I remember going to a fire in the middle of winter, you know, that had a wind event. Somebody was burning. Fire got away and burned a few acres. Don't remember how big it was, maybe 10, 20 acres, something like that. But to say that we have year-round megafires, no, we don't. And that's just a crock of you know what. So anyway, with all of what I just said, you know, that's my opinion. You know, armchair quarterbacking, I've always disagreed with armchair quarterbacks. And yet, here I am, being an armchair quarterback. I totally could see people will take exception to what I'm saying. That's fine. This is my opinion. And it has to be, it incidentally is shared by some of my friends that are in the firefighting community, retired and otherwise. However, you know, I mean, there has to be some more effort put into actually suppressing fires. I mean, to say that things are inaccessible and steep and inaccessible, steep, yes, inaccessible, that's debatable. You know, and when you have a fire that's running, that's making a run, you got to get out of the way. You can't deal with that. So, but as soon as it lays down, you go in and get it. And that's what they failed to do over and over again on this fire. So, anyway, that's pretty much my problem with the way things went on this fire. And the sugar fire is another one. The ones last year, the Bear and the Claremont fires, same thing. Lack of aggression, overplaying the safety card. And as long as we keep doing that, they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until we burn it all. It's all going to get burned. Right now, the Plumas National Forest, I don't know what the percentage is, but from the Dixie fire alone, almost 1 million acres, just shy of 1 million acres. And much of that is on the Plumas National Forest. Between the Dixie fire and the sugar fire from earlier this year, pretty much the whole east side of the forest from Highway 70 to Highway 395 is burned off. That's unheard of, completely unheard of. So, I don't know. It's not a fun thing. So, that's my piece.